and yes, this is disturbing. It says, beyond disturbing, Balenciaga ad campaign features children with bondage teddy bears. You brought this one to my attention.
Yeah, I was doom scrolling through Twitter and saw this horrors beyond what you can imagine. This campaign features several different child models holding items from Balenciaga's Spring 2023 collection, and they unveiled these purses back in October that are basically just teddy bears with botched faces. One of them has a third eye, and they are wearing different bondage gear. So they've got like a padlock around one of their necks. One of them is wearing fishnets. They've got this like bondage gear around their bodies. And now they've decided it was appropriate to have children modeling these purses, which of course inherently has its inherent theme of sexuality. And it's not new to see, you know, leading brands and also media franchises trying to push the artistic boundary.
Oh yeah.
By mixing children with, you know, inherently adult themes. We've seen this with cuties as a very extreme example, but I think there are smaller iterations of this that are happening right under our noses, and this is one of them that they're trying to get away with. They haven't publicly addressed it. What I do see that they've done is they've deleted all of their Instagram posts. They have mainly hidden this campaign from the main page of their website, but you can still find it. And when you go to their main page and scroll down to this campaign, it's part of their gifts collection for kids. And when you go to it on their website now, they have only shown one picture of a child model with these items, and it's a boy. So there are a few girls in the campaign and a boy that I can tell. And they're receiving a ton of backlash, which I'm glad to see, because I don't want this to I don't want this to just fall on deaf ears. But so far, it doesn't seem like the brand is planning on responding to this situation. They're just hoping that it'll get memory hold. And that's the last thing I want.
And the number one thing that you pointed out to me was the basically there's like an Easter egg in it that very few people noticed.
So the worst part of this is not the BDSM teddy bears, actually. They also included a photo.
Which one was it that had this on it?
What do you mean?
Which photo was it that did all of them? It was the original one with the kid in the teddy bear.
It wasn't in the pictures with the kids.
Okay.
It was in a picture of items on a table on its own.
Yes, okay.
So there is this poorly hidden, obscured part of a Supreme Court document, an opinion against or for the banning of virtual child blank. And this is hidden under some items on a table, but you can still clearly decipher the words and exactly what it's about.
Gang, if I may, I did not acquire the title of marketing man extraordinaire out of nothing. It came with experience. I've worked in family brands, and I've worked in, let's say, sexual risque campaigns as well.
Not the same campaign.
No, not this one.
Not even close.
Not even, I mean, no. And even in the campaigns that had a, let's say, provocative sexual undertone, there was a purpose to them.
Yeah.
For example, in the one that I worked with for a company, shall be renamed, whatever, like nameless.
Name it the company.
The company, right?
That's the CIA. Sorry. The CIA is the company.
We wanted to be extremely provocative and sexual because we were targeting a demographic of 21 to 25-year-olds. And the listen, if I reveal more details, I'll reveal the product. Anyway, the whole point is that it spoke with a purpose. So my issue with this is that I understand the desire to be provocative. But what is the purpose of this level of provocative?
What I wonder here is like, look, I can imagine that there's a photographer out there who doesn't understand what this is, or
let's actually talk about the photographer, though.
Yes. So my thought was that if you're a photographer and you're particularly you're looking to capture something and you've got a specific idea, it could be bent to the will of a company with much more nefarious purposes, or vice versa. A company could have a general idea and a photographer with more nefarious ideas behind what they want to shoot.
Okay.
Could be used to bend that. And I'm being charitable for the sake of the
issue
argument.
with your charitable interpretation is that there is no excuse or benefit of the doubt interpretation, or even way that he could have been ignorant of that court document being included in this campaign.
Do we know if he shot that one? I know he shot the photos of the kids.
He is the only photographer who is credited on the campaign. So he says this is part of his ongoing project that is called Toy Stories. And here's how he describes it. He says he travels around the world. I take portraits of children with their favorite toys. In 3 years, I've visited over 50 countries where I've recorded the spontaneous joy that unites kids despite their diverse backgrounds. Whether the child owns a veritable fleet of miniature cars or a single stuffed monkey, the pride they have is moving, funny, and thought-provoking. So here's the issue. The Balenciaga ad campaign is not part of Toy Stories. Yeah. Because in Toy Stories, he specifically curates these posts of here's this child's real name, their real age, and where they're really from, and here are their real toys that they really own and love. And that's, a cute idea on its own as a concept. But then when you take it over to the Balenciaga campaign, these are child models, ages 3, 4, 5.
Are they even models, or are they just regular children?
They're likely child models who were booked for the gig, and by God knows what kind of parents. But these kids are 3, 4, and 5, around that age. They are not named. Their age is not published, and they are pictured around a bunch of Balenciaga products that are not. They don't belong to the child. And this is a job that the child and their parents really are getting paid to do. It's different than voluntarily agreeing to share this aspect of your real life. So I saw this comment on his Instagram that said, "This isn't part of your Toy Stories collection. Yeah. You sold your concept and did a buyout agreement for a commercial campaign, and this 3-year-old is a paid model being exploited by you. You've done plenty of juxtaposed work with adults, and you should have done this campaign with people 18 plus. It's weird and insincere to even imply that this is part of your Toy Stories project, which highlighted real children. So this corporate campaign is disturbing, all the way down to the dog leashes and bondage teddy bear purses."
Here's an additional theory that I have, right? So this was Balenciaga as well as Adidas?
It's actually not Adidas, but Adidas is in partnership with Balenciaga on a different campaign. I was just mistakenly drawing a connection there.
Okay, so this is Balenciaga that has recently famously had ties with a music person that we all know and love, at least I do, and who has come, into trouble, hot waters as of recent. And his point of view, or the point of view that he can be espousing, can be characterized to be pertaining to, let's say, the right wing. And an issue that typically annoys that particular side of the culture, as we've seen on several social media outlets, has been child abuse. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I feel that this is, it's the company being like, "Oh, guys, remember when we were with that guy? F him. Actually, we're one of you. See, like we don't care about joking about this subject or making light of this subject. Like we're on this side. We're on the correct side where we abuse children on ads."
Yeah, what's insane about this is
the kids don't even look happy in the photos.
That's kind of part of the point, right? It's like, very cynical and for adults.
it feels like you were talking about earlier, like a Wayfair ad.
That's
like,
yes. Okay, like it feels, maybe I am, schizo for thinking this, but when I'm reading these captions, like saying the name and age and location of this child and them pictured so starkly in their bedrooms, it feels like an ad for a person who is going to be sold off to a highest bidder. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that, but that's how it feels.
It was this one in particular. It was the first one on his Instagram page that made me like.
Interpretations aside,
this one looks really creepy to me. Like the kid looks genuinely unhappy to be there. Interpretations
aside, what is happening on the surface level is damning enough.
Yeah.
That's it.
And also, if this is my favorite word, an awareness campaign, awareness. If this is an awareness campaign, the onus is on you to explain yourself. The onus is on you to be like, well, there are sexual things and the child is uncomfortable. Well, but it's actually a representation that we're against it, and children are uncomfortable in situations. Yada 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 yada. But it's. Obviously, it's not that.
We're going to prove that children are uncomfortable being exposed to inherently adult themes exposing them to adult themes. Like, you're not proving any artistic point. You're not pushing the boundaries. You're just being exploitative openly and expecting to get away with it. Yeah, and what's crazy about this is that they've just dropped Kanye pretending to be on a moral high ground.
Yeah.
So has Adidas, by the way. And Balenciaga as a brand has deleted all of their Instagram posts. They have made their dramatic exit from Twitter, likely over Elon Musk's takeover. Yet, Elon Musk, since taking over Twitter and slashing thousands of useless employees, has actually made some changes to prevent child exploitation on the platform. So I saw reports that there has been a major crackdown on child exploitation material on the platform. They have streamlined the process for users to report such material directly from the app rather than having to go about it by going on the desktop. And I also heard that prominent hashtags that are used to spread that material have been almost completely cleared of abusive materials. So it's just interesting, and I think something that audiences should pay very close attention to, how when a big tech platform begins finally enforcing their rules against the endangerment of children, watch very closely which brands and individuals start making their way towards the exit first, because you can't deny that that's suspicious at the very least, and the timing is just all too convenient.
And it's the slow normalization of this stuff,
yes.
Right? That's what we're into right now, is that they're going to continue to do this, and they're going to continue in their genius about how creepily they incorporate it into everyday stuff, where if a person is not aware of what's going on to the culture, they're not going to catch this stuff. They'll say, oh, I don't get it. I don't see it. But we see it because we have to look at this stuff every day.
Yeah, and you have to take into account how many adults were involved in publishing this campaign. Yeah. Countless people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and no one was like, hey, maybe we should wait a minute and reevaluate.
We had a meeting today talking about this, and just a meeting on a small scale for a company is however many people are involved in getting a message out there, which means endless individuals had to look at this and be like, yeah, that's fine.
This is a top fashion house.
Specialist, managers, chief executive officers, the finance department. Everyone gets to have a say in this. Everyone knew, in the ledger, you got to justify your expenses, and the accountant had to be like, okay, so what were these expenses? Oh, they were S&M costumes for teddy bears.
Yeah.
Got it.
Check.
Check. Understood.
Also, what is the message behind this? What is it? Nowadays, we're beaten over the head with how clear all their messaging has to be, whether it's about inclusion, whether it's about this or that. It's about climate change. What does this say exactly other than creepy?
Yeah, every time that we are being targeted with like a demoralization campaign. We are browbeaten and our ears are talked off about how we are the villains. And yet when they do something this monstrous and just openly villainous and predatory, there's no explanation given. The photographer has not gone to social media to explain what he meant by this as an artist. Yeah. None of the creative directors, none of the people who are brand ambassadors. People are even, I saw this tweet calling on the Kardashians who are... They wear this brand and I think they might have actually partnered with them. This tweet said, "There's no excuse for toddlers to be exposed to BDSM. Balenciaga is grooming toddlers with sexual material, and celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Khloe Kardashian wear this brand and have young children. Why are any women, famous or otherwise, supporting the sexualization of toddlers?" Good question. I mean... Is it the money? Is it that this genuinely aligns with their moral values?
It doesn't even matter because we live in a culture now where there's people telling like every school should have a drag queen story hour. So it doesn't matter. If that's my doomerism. Like my black pill version of this is like it's so far embedded in the culture already, and people are so willing to just either close their eyes or, like I said earlier, my natural instinct with almost everything in life is to try to see things from both sides of the aisle. And in this case, they use that against you. I know that that's not true, but I do feel like it bears like that. I'm telling you what the average uninitiated person who doesn't really understand what this means will say, which is like, I don't see it, because they don't understand, whether they don't see the doll or they don't understand why kids shouldn't be used in ads like this anyways. They take advantage of people's ignorance to these situations.
Yeah, and the activist class, be it in whatever political leaning that you have, they're always the worst representatives of the constituency. Yeah. Because if you truly wanted to signal to a liberal base, I think they would be more appreciative of a campaign. About like universal healthcare than some thing like this. Sorry, I was about to curse. Of like something like this. Like I think they would happily stand behind that as opposed to this.
Well, here's one theory. It's that they are trying to get as much backlash as possible to increase their visibility. This tweet said, "Desperate attempts at outrage marketing are getting more and more disgusting because what else would be the reason why this was approved? Is it outrage marketing, or is this a genuine attempt at like pushing artistic boundaries?"
If it was outrage marketing, wouldn't it be more blatant?
So that was the purpose of my diatribe in the beginning. So I worked in a provocative advertisement campaign that the purpose was to create not resentment, but like to create like a strong impulsive reaction to it. And it did. It absolutely did. It was on the newspapers and it eventually had to be recalled. But the thing is, it was sexual because it was a product that it gets consumed in the mouth, and we played on that. Mm-hmm. Okay? So the provocativeness had a purpose directly related to the product. I fail to see how this this line of direction in advertising and marketing has anything to do with it. Because this just feels like pure unadulterated signaling to the worst aspects of a certain political ideology.
When you look at the collection online, what you see are Balenciaga mugs and hoodies and like lifestyle wears. Nothing related to the BDSM teddy bears. Nothing at all.
Was that okay? Then that was the other question. Is that a product they're selling?
I didn't see it. I did not see it for sale on their website at all. It might have been an exclusive release for like runways.
That's even creepier because when you do product shoots, like I've got friends who do commercial photography, right? Nothing on that screen is by accident. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. Everything from the position, from where everything is placed in that photograph, that is designed. Yeah. Which means that if that's in there and it doesn't have a reason to be there, it's 1,000 times more suspicious.
Right. And there's just no ambiguity about the photograph of the court document, and I find it extremely suspicious that if this photographer didn't take that singular photo, I think he would have come out by now and said, hey, I took these photos, but not this one.
Yeah.
Also, someone said, did you photograph the purse overlaying the CP case documents? How is that art, and how does that fit with the Toy Stories concept? At best, you are a sellout, but it seems more likely this was the intent of the Toy Stories project all along. You wouldn't be the first to sexualize children in the name of art.
So one last thing, sorry. Do not believe any executive, manager, or higher up that was associated to this campaign that they didn't know anything. Because from experience, whenever you have a child in an advertising campaign, that is a hellscape of documents that have to be signed in order to do it.
Legalities.
And it's not and it's not just from the people in the ground. It has to be from the higher ups as well. Yeah. So no one can plead ignorance with this. No one.
Yeah. It's
I have a strong feeling Balenciaga left Twitter to escape some accountability from this, because Twitter is the landscape where you're going to get flamed the most for this type of campaign. If you release it there, then it's fair game for debate. But if you leave the platform and you stay silent on other ones and you decide not to respond at all to the backlash, then it just gets memory hold faster.
I want to also point out that this is like probably the black pill moment for me. The most out of all of them was when I used to say, like, it'll draw the line at kids. They'll draw the line at kids. Yeah. Like when they started gender affirming care and mutilating kids, like that was when, to me, I was like, nobody's gonna allow this, right? People will start speaking up. And to see the rationalization that the public has continued to go through because somebody pays some disgusting expert to write a piece that says that in a psychology journal that says that that's what this is, right? And the average person is just like, well, he's the expert. What I know, but deep down what's right.
Yeah.
Everyone does. But you're trained, whether it's because of the way the internet is to defer to what the experts say. And as we pushed back on that for the last 2 or 3 years, and I thought it was going to be at Drag Queen Story Hour that the public would push back. I thought it would be at Gender Affirming Care that the public would push back. But now it's being pushed into the mainstream advertising even more than it already was before. And I do wonder if this photographer, did he sign away his rights to these things? Was he always abusive and just signed his rights away to make a ton of money? Or did he come to them and pitch this idea?
You have to wonder, maybe he was scouted based on his Toy Stories campaign or his project to mirror that same aesthetic for the ad, but and then they took too many creative liberties that he didn't choose, but then he's still complicit in it. There's no escaping that. And really, this is just chipping away at our morale, first of all, and chipping away at...
I'm the perfect example of that working. Just literally hanging your head and being like, when will people understand that how things matter? And they're experts at gaslighting. They know exactly how to be like, because I've had this conversation.
We're the artists, you're the unwashed masses. You don't understand what art means, and maybe you should just be quiet on this because you're not an expert.
But not even just them, but like what I'll find is that I'll bring stuff like this up to friends who are on the more liberal end of the spectrum. I guess probably more leftist end of the spectrum. I still consider myself to be fairly liberal in a lot of cases. And I will point out this stuff is awful, right? And they'll be like, well, that's not happening. And you're like, yes, it is. I can absolutely show you. It's like, well, that's an isolated incident. I'm like, how many isolated incidents does
before
it require
it's a trend?
Before it's a trend or a pattern or something that can absolutely be shown to be part of the culture now, which is disgusting.
And it's tragic because this should not be a partisan issue at all. I don't think it is for a lot of people. This should be something everyone can get behind, that like, this shit is not okay.
And also, this is what you boycott. And this, there's people that work in Twitter right now. They are breaking a bunch of NDAs and contracts just because they don't like their current boss right now. And you can make fun of them for being sensible, but you know what? They have their values and they're standing for it at harm. And there is no harm in opposing this shit. And just everyone does is like, oh well, boo-hoo you. No, not boo-hoo. Like, F this completely. Like, take it down, apologize, take that product down, and they should be financially held accountable for doing garbage like this because there's laws.
Well, then the question is, how do you, like, what crimes are they charged with? And is it indecency? Is it decency laws? What do they charge with? Or is it just, I wouldn't be surprised if this was human trafficking.
I would not either at all.
Like those pictures were like, it made me think of like, I have seen so many, like whether you've seen like pictures from newspapers or you've seen these busts and stuff like this. Remember the Wayfair ads where it's like, it was like a piece of furniture.
And it was named some really obscure name that turned out to be a missing person.
This is like twice as blatant and disgusting. It's like, it's almost like they're just going to expect you to be like, well, they wouldn't be that in our face about it, would they? Yes, they would.
Yeah, and that's part of the joke for them.
Yeah.
I don't... It seems like they have gone back on it, at least without responding publicly. They've scrubbed this from their social media. They have minimized it on their website. But where's the real accountability?
Yes, it shouldn't be enough. It shouldn't be enough. That's not enough. Taking it back is not enough. It's out there. We're watching it right now.
Okay.
You know, like, it's not enough. Like,
you know who else needs to answer for this is Adidas, because their collaboration handbags with Balenciaga were pictured in the photograph that had that court document. And I just found out that it's from a 2008 Supreme Court case called United States versus Williams. And it involved a man named Michael Williams, who in April 2004 used a public internet chat forum to post a message offering to exchange child SA materials with other users in the group. And I'm not going to read what he actually said in that message. But this is a whole court case that they went and found from over a decade ago, printed out, and placed intentionally on this set,
which means
next to an Adidas Balenciaga purse.
Which means it's an FU.
It's just
literally an FU.
Like, we can be as brazen as we want, and you can't do anything about it. And then we're going to call it art.
In the chat, Sketch Therapy and several other people have mentioned that we should talk to Eliza Blue. Said you love her. She is wonderful. She specifically works in child rescue from human trafficking, so that might be something worth looking into.
Cool.
It's just these topics are the ones like I didn't want to start with it because it's like it just makes me so sad, and all this stuff just it's like it
makes me angry.
Yeah, it breaks my heart, and it's like that I'm like sad first, and then I get angry because it just feels like no matter, like I said,
where do we get retribution? Because we see huge brands targeting individuals for, like, I mean, in Kanye's case, for tweeting things that are politically incorrect. Yeah. For tweeting the word shalom. Yeah. Okay? Like, the scale is just completely tipped. Like, it doesn't even exist anymore. We have no opportunity to, you know, get our pound of flesh for, like, these real wrongdoings. But then when somebody says the wrong thing that's cancelable, then they get their job taken away. You lose billions of dollars.
It's always words,
and
they never that get in trouble.
They never lose any money when they do shit like this.
And it's always words that are punished, never actions.
Right.
That's why I'm so sick of. You can turn me up. I'm not gonna yell anymore. Or am I? That's why I'm so sick of, like, that. The counterculture is so satisfied with. Just like, isn't he a hypocrite with just saying that and everyone just being, yes, I agree. He is a hypocrite. It's not enough. Mm-hmm. It's not enough. Your stupid, like, argument that, this person a hypocrite, you guys, it hasn't done any good for anyone.
I always point out whenever people laugh at, like, the Instagram account Defiant L's, that these people that say one thing and then a day later they say something completely different. It's like, it's because they don't care. There's no truth but power to them, so they don't care that they don't care about being philosophically consistent or true to their actual word. They only care about power. Mm-hmm. So, thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.